Hello again. I just picked up a SND1441E SoundFX DCC sound card for my ES44AC. The one thing that I asked for to do in this is to actually install the speaker up in the fuel tank, and I thought I was going to try to get around that a little bit. I actually put the board in, and I'll show you that, and I used a 10 by 18 oval speaker in there, but the shell just will not quite close, and I don't want to go in. I think I could go in and carve the top of the plastic out just a little bit, and I could probably get it to fit, but I think the sound will be a lot better if we go ahead and do their way of putting the speaker into the bottom of the fuel tank. I've looked around for a video, how do you take a Kato engine apart? And I can't find anything. So the first part of this, part one, is I'm going to kind of take it apart, and I think I have access to a milling machine that we can go in, and they want a 1/2-inch hole in, 150 thousandths deep, and I think I can do that. The other one is I do have a good machine shop here, or a tool supply, that I can actually buy the bit, and I think just in a drill press it would probably function that way, of being able to put that recessed hole in here. In fact, I was kind of looking at it. It looks like the fuel tank is almost big enough for maybe a pair of these speakers in here. I was thinking about maybe trying one with two. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. I got the old Kato box here for the drop test to get the shell off, and I'll kind of show you what I did inside, and then we'll kind of go from there. Okay, here, hopefully, I already tried to put the board in, and I tried to put the speaker in here. I think I have just a screenshot I'll show you of that. And like I say, I was able to get the 10 by 18 oval speaker underneath, and it seems to be fairly flat, but for some reason the rear of the shell will not go completely down. So I'm going to remove this, and we'll go for down here and put a speaker. I may even put 2 holes in here, just in case I want to add a second speaker later on. See how the first one sounds, and it's already starting to come apart. So say the major part of this first part of this video was to disassemble the Kato, and everybody says it's easy, so we'll see what happens. Okay, well, this is already starting to come apart on me, but here's one of the pickup rails here. Also, what I made up was, and you can't see it over here, but I laid a piece of paper out, something I can lay the parts on and make sure I get them back in the same order. So what I'm going to do is pull this board out. Okay, so that's coming back, so there's the board, and here's the speaker that I installed on there, and like I say, I'll think of something else to use that for, but here's the original board. If we back up to what I started with, that comes in the Kato, and you will have to remove the clips off the side to go with the Digitrax board and put those on there. So I am going to remove the speaker wires from this. This will actually be the one that we'll use. And like I say, this will go in this area here. We'll have to machine that bottom. The one thing I wish they would have done was to, if I think this is going to be able to fit right in the back here, but I wish they would have added maybe another 1/4 of an inch of wiring onto it. I think the SD40, they actually take this and put it up in the front, but I'm hoping that that will go. There seems to be plenty of room back here in the back area back here. Okay, so back to the intentions of this one is to actually take this apart and we will take the parts out gently and see what we have. So I'll be back in a minute or two. I'm going to start to pull these 2 screws out, and then I'll show you what we get from there. By the way, I've gone through just to make sure I keep it left front and right front, and then I've got a piece of paper over here. I'm actually laying these out of where they came out of, so I'll know where they kind of go. Hopefully, removed all the old Kapton tape. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check the gap here. I'm a little bit worried about when I do put this in a vise to mill this area, what that is, and maybe 20-30 thousandths of something, some shim stock, just something when I clamp it. I just don't want to bend anything or whatever, but I want to take that measurement. We'll see if we need it or not. Okay, I took that measurement, and it's about 35 thousandths here in the back, and it's a little bit about 38 thousandths or so in the front. So I guess it's not too much difference there, but anyway, kind of nice to know. Okay, the first thing that I've done, hopefully I'm doing this correctly, is I have removed the little brass runners, both left and right side here, and remove those. And next time, looks like I'm going to remove the 2 screws in this area. Let me see here. Here's the other screw. Try to separate these very slowly. Small screwdriver and just seem to do the trick. I'll lay it on its side. Okay, and the trucks fall out. We have the spacer in here, which we're going to use to keep that in when we do mill this. I think I will lay this right up here. Okay, and I found by putting my finger on the back side of the flywheel here, I can push that motor slightly out and loosen that up. That's about ready to come out. Actually, I think by putting the screwdriver right there, just barely touching, that will lift up. Well, I hope this thing runs again. Okay, now that we lifted that up, like I say, by placing the screwdriver underneath those worm gears, just slightly lifting those up, lifting up on this end and pushing from the back side on the flywheel, that the motor lifted right out, and I took it and sat it down. Little drive shaft here, which that's floating, that should go back in and be okay. So we have that. And now it looks like all we have to do is put this back together with the 2 screws and get it ready for machining. Okay, now that we've got the 2 halves back together, you can see the, let's say we said about 38 thousandths gap in there. And it's kind of amazed that just by not too much pressure in it, it's kind of moves. So without the mechanism in there. I'm going to probably take some cardstock to make it about 35 thousandths or so, put in there, so when I do clamp it in the vise in this area to machine that, it won't put too much pressure in there. Okay, now that we've just about got ready to go over to get machined, I found some cardstock, a little bit thicker than regular paper. A couple pieces of that in there. It fit this real nice, kept the spacing here, so when I get it clamped in a vise, we'll machine for the speaker there on top. And there is enough room to actually put, if you wanted to put dual speakers in the bottom of this, you can actually do it. So I may try one of them. Anyway, so part 2 will be, we'll get things reinstalled, we'll get that speaker in, we'll get the soundboard in, and we'll see how it sounds. I'll see you in part 2. Thank you.